As we begin another day, let us pause for a minute of silence. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, fellow Titans. We're going to begin this morning on a somber note as we recognize International Holocaust Remembrance Day. We're going to show you a video. It's very powerful. It includes some people very near and dear to the heart of Dominion High School in Titan Territory. And it was produced by Loudoun County Public Schools, and it won a couple of regional Emmy Awards. So I want you to give your undivided attention here. The production quality is exceedingly high, and the content is extremely important for us to process this morning. Thank you for your kind attention.
The last thing I remember is the Germans started bombing, and we were in a farm, and we went into the woods. And for 3 weeks, we ate berries to stay alive. My mother was liberated by the Russians in Auschwitz. She weighed 57 pounds. She was never the same.
My family's story, I feel like, is very special because they all survived. My grandfather survived by pretending to be a deaf mute after he escaped because he knew his accent would give him away.
We had, of course, lost everything when Czechoslovakia was annexed. We really became paupers overnight. And in the last minute before my mother entered that bus taking her away, she put her hand in her pocket. She came up with a couple of 1,000-franc notes and said to me, "Now it's up to you to get us out of here." I didn't quite know what that meant. I really never found out, but it meant that I had to see whether I could find her and save myself.
I experienced the Holocaust firsthand, which really means that I was in a concentration camp, a death camp, a death march. Everything we speak about happened to me.
I had the chance in France to work about it, about the Holocaust and all that, but I never had the occasion to meet a Holocaust survivor. The fact to me, all these Holocaust survivors with different stories and amazing but at the same time tragic ones. It gave me this human aspect of it, and I'm really happy to have it. It's pretty cool.
In our social studies class, we talk just a little bit about the Holocaust, so we know why it's about, what is happening, but know how it's affecting the people.
You know, surprisingly, a lot of students today have not heard of the Holocaust, and I think the biggest reaction I get from my students is surprise and curiosity. And when I tell them my own story, they're so interested.
The reason that my daughter does a lot of this so people won't forget. When you take a new generation the way it is right now, they don't know about the Holocaust. They never heard of it, you know. They never saw it. We're here to explain, educate what happened in the past, the horrors and the cruelty that was bestowed on Jewish people. And that's the reason I do it.
During the Adopt a Survivor event, the speaker was just saying like, oh, you guys often ask questions about how was it like? Was it scary? Of course it was scary. Of course I was afraid. But I think what you should be asking is that how should we make sure that this never happens again? Rather than just learning about the actual stories that went on. I mean, you can just go and read some books about it or search it online, but just make use of this experience and actually talk about what are we going to do to ensure that such an event will never happen again.
I think the Holocaust provides a really valuable lens to look at all kinds of social justice issues and issues of genocide. You know, sadly, since the Holocaust, we've seen a number of other genocides. I've had a chance to visit Cambodia with students and take them to the killing fields there, a conflict that was happening when I was an infant. I was a teenager. We had the conflicts in Bosnia and in Rwanda. You know, oftentimes we say never again. These things still keep occurring. And I think really analyzing what is the role of states, what is the role of individuals is a critical level of thinking we need to make sure that we're getting our students to.
It's so important that educators are empowered and have the tools to help young people explore difficult aspects of human history, including the injustices of anti-Semitism and racism. Slavery and Jim Crow, like the Holocaust, can be better understood through exploring the personal narratives of people impacted by these injustices. We must help students learn the full history so that they can apply the lessons to today.
It's something that we never want to forget and we want to learn from and improve on in the future. And it's important for people to not forget that you don't have to hide your identity and that nobody should hide who they really are.
And so although this centers on the Holocaust, it's also meant to get people more aware just about things happening globally and just ways that we can fight against any form of hatred.
I want them to know what happened, the history, and how it affected an individual. But I want them to feel about the injustice. Feel about what took place and how it happened.
Don't become a bystander. And when you see any kind of violence or prejudice or anti-Semitism, don't just say what you do doesn't matter. What you do matters, and you should involve yourself and not stand by and say there's nothing I can do. That's one thing. And the other thing is that you've got to be curious and find out what goes on in the world so that you can be an active part in it.
To me, as long as I can express my thoughts and my feelings towards the children, you know, that to me is the important thing.
And so every survivor has a different thing that they want students to learn. They have these conversations, and then they actually go into Irving's database and they adopt them. And then the idea, we give them a candle with the survivor's name, and we remind them of the remembrance dates. There's one in January 27th, which is International Holocaust Remembrance Day, and we just ask that they light the candle that day. But most importantly, we ask that they go back and tell that story, and not just once, that they tell it every chance they get. So our goal is to get this story in the hands of the next generation, because the survivors aren't going to be here a lot longer. And those of us that are teaching about it, we're only as good as many kids as we can reach. And so the broader that we spread these messages, and I think that it's through the direct stories of the survivors that the understanding comes through. The unique position of today's youth is that they are the ones that can make a change. We can facilitate that, and we can guide that, and we can help them learn from the past, but the future is theirs. And so I think it's up to them to take this and hopefully change our world for the better. And I see it. I see small change. It's not overnight. It comes from education. It comes from changing the mindset of everyone.
You have a lot of anger in your system, you know, and it eats at you. That's why they say you have to learn to forgive, but never to forget.
As today is International Holocaust Remembrance Day, our German and French students have created an art exhibition to honor and remember the artists and citizens who fell during the Holocaust, and to teach others about the impact of art and censorship on culture. Degenerate art was a label given to modern art by Hitler and the Nazis during the 1920s to push the artists and their work out of society and establish what Hitler considered a more German or purified culture, a terribly dangerous concept. All art, both modern and classical, are to be celebrated, but this exhibition focuses on two opposing styles of art during the Third Reich. The two art exhibitions that took place in 1937, while highlighting the art that was labeled degenerate at the time. The art show will be opening tomorrow and will be closing on March 4th. Teachers can sign up their classes to view the art exhibition and complete the accompanying suggested lesson. Teachers, that lesson was sent to you this morning. Last night. But everyone via email. Everyone is invited, regardless, to view the exhibition, which is in the L100 hallway. We hope to see you there. Thank you for your somber remembrance of the Holocaust and the lessons that we must learn about how we treat one another and how we stand up against injustice everywhere we see it. Turning our attention to some celebrations of student achievement, let's give a shout out to our wrestling team. They battled out in Leesburg last night. They defeated Tuscarora 54-18. They fell to powerhouse Loudoun County. Picking up a win last night included athletes Shane McGuire, Sammy Andrade, Arjun Sharma, Aladdin Fanui, and once again, Santi Pena, George Hassaway, Jacinto Ayala, Logan Jones, and Jacob Jimenez went 2-0, went undefeated on the night. Outstanding report cards during the first quarter were taken home by Andrew Wiggs, Carolina, Ebert Quiroga, Luke McGuire, Gerald McKay, Zach James, Lucy Siciliano, Kate Gruhash, Michelle Ratana, Sammy Andrade, he's getting it done on the wrestling mat and in the classroom, Asia Moyes, Ethan Bond, Cole Diazzo, Natalie Sanchez Gavidia, Lucy Cristofaro, Uma Fadil, and Rokia Rowain. We're really proud of you, my friends. Let's see. We got a huge event tonight. It is going to be a great night to be a Titan. You're going to wear your white, come out beginning at 5 p.m. We have 5 basketball games against the Panthers of Potomac Falls. Root us to victory. Tomorrow, after school, the mock trial team is going to meet via Zoom. I'll get the Zoom address for you and make it available, actually probably the Schoology group address, and put that on announcements tomorrow morning. If you're interested in more information, I would encourage you to stop by Ms. Gussman's room 112. So that's tomorrow at 4:45 via Zoom. Mock Trial Club is meeting. And don't forget, our pet food drive ends tomorrow. Dry cat and dog food is welcome in the boxes outside of the main office. Tomorrow, seniors, your dues payments are due. $60 or a waiver form. Titans, remember, every life, including yours, is a priceless treasure. Your presence here in our community, it's a gift. You are loved unconditionally. Always be truly Titan. Have a great day. Go Titans!